Hello, 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 hello. How are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today I have this little project for us. This is a little folio, and it's made from 3 file folders. I know, right? Kind of weird, but it's got a nice big pocket here on the front. Open it up. You've got 2 small pockets here, a big pocket here, a big pocket over here. Open that up, 2 more pockets, a belly band. And when you close the whole thing up and flip it over, you got a giant pocket in the back. So we're going to go ahead and get started doing this one. It's nice and thick. It's very stable. This could easily be put into a journal and taken out and used as a, like, put it in your purse kind of thing. So I'm going to get a supply list and I will be right back. All right, so supplies. You do not need any scoring tools on this one. You need a paper trimmer, glue, paper, 3 file folders, and whatever, ink you're going to use if you want to ink. All right? So, I have my paper trimmer. I have some file folders. Doesn't matter where your tab is because you're going to cut that part off. And I have this pad that was sent to me by Michelle. And so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to figure it out. It's a little thicker than I would normally use, but I'm going to use it anyway. And we're going to make a beautiful folio. So I'm going to get this out of the way, and we're going to get started on these right away. So I'm going to extend the arm on my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut my 3 file folders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these 7.5 inches tall and then 5.5 inches wide from the fold. So let's start by getting them down to 7.5 inches. Whoop. Right there. Now, of course, if you want to make this a little taller, you can do that. But for my purposes, I'm going to save these because they make great tags and cards. For my purposes, I want it to be 7.5 inches tall. That way I can put it into any one of my journals because I make my journals between 8 and 8.5 inches tall. So 7.5 will fit nicely. So we're going to do this. 7.5. So 3 of them cut at 7.5 inches. And then we're going to do a little bit of trimming on them. I will be back. 7.5, we're going to do 5.5. Let me do that first. Remember, I live in the real world, so my dogs are going to go crazy right now because Daddy just got home. So, 5.5. And then this last one, I'm going to cut it at 5.5, but only on one side, the back side. So 5.5 on that one. And then the inside one, I'm going to go 3.5 on this side. Boop. So let me do that real quick. So 3.5. And then on these 2, I'm just going to take 1/4 inch off of one side. Okay? Put that in my trimmer, take off 1/4 inch on one side. Let me make sure I got that straight. I don't think it was straight. It's a little bit off. And then 1/4 inch on this one as well, just on one side, okay? And that is just to allow for folding. All right, so that's all my cuts. I'm going to go ahead and ink all of these base pieces. And then I'm going to come back, and when I come back, we're going to start putting this together, but we're going to cut some mats first. So don't put your trimmer away. Just get this inked and put it to the side. I'll be right back. So we're going to select some paper for this. And, ooh, I like this. And this. Okay, well, that's 2 I like. Ooh, I do like that. But it's mostly in the corners. It's kind of the problem with scrapbook paper, you know? Ooh, look at that. That's pretty. I like this. little too much glitter for me though. This is a lot of glitter on this pad. All right, we're gonna use these. So let's get these out. Oh. All right. So we have these out. We're going to be cutting 2 forms. Back panels out of 1. And then the pockets out of the other. So let's do this for the back panels. So the first one we're going to cut is going to be 7 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and open this back up. And we're going to cut both of these at 7 1/4 because I'm going to cut 4 3/4 off. That gives us 7 1/4. And then we're going to cut one of these at 5 inches. And again at 5. We need 3 pieces that are 5 inches. And then one that is 5 1/4. And one that is 2 by 7 1/4. So 4 3/4. And then 2. Okay. So, got my 2. Oh, get my 2. That one. Okay. So we're going to have one for the back, one for the other side on the back, one here, and one here. This piece is partial. So that's a 2 inch, 2.5 inch goes in here. It's right here. That one goes in there, underneath. And then we need to cut this one. Okay, and this one is, get my ruler, make sure I got this right. 5 by 7 1/4. So, ooh, we're going to be a little bit short. It's okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 4. So we need one more. This one's going to be a little bit short, but that's all right. 5 by 7 1/4. So we're going to cut off 4 3/4. We're going to get these out of the way for the moment. And those are all of our panels. And our, there. Now we're going to cut some pockets. We have 1 pocket, 2 pockets, 3 pockets, 4 pockets, and this one on the front. So we're going to be cutting 4 out of this. We're going to be cutting 4 pieces that are 3.5 by 2.5, but 2 3/4. But we're going to be cutting 2 of those out of solid paper that matches. So let's go to 3.5. We're going to cut that. We just move this out of the way. Then we're going to be cutting 2 3/4. 2 3/4. 2 3/4. That's 2 of our pockets. And then one that is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut this at 4 3/4. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4. Okay. So that is these 2 pockets, these 2, and that one. And then we're going to get another piece of paper that kind of works with this. And it could be from the file folder if you want to. You know, that will blend. So let's grab one of our scrap extras that we have. And we're going to be cutting 2 pieces of this that are 3.5 by 2 3/4. So 3.5. And then 2 3/4. Okay. So those are all of our pockets with this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. Now, we're going to cut this piece right here. This is for the belly band, and so it is 7.5, because you want to go all the way to the end. So 7.5, and then about 2 inches wide. So we'll use another scrap for that. So let's, yep, 7.5 by about 2 inches. And then we're going to cut a piece of this that is 1 3/4 by about 7 1/4. Boop. Okay, so we want this to be just a little bit shorter and just a tiny bit narrower than that. Okay, so those are all of our pieces. I'm going to get everything out of the way, and when I come back, we're going to put this whole thing together. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to take our piece that is short on the one side and long on the other. We're going to open it up with the short side on our right, and then we want to put these in, but we want to make sure that that 1/4 inch is the inside piece. Okay, we want that piece to flip in. So lining that up, you want to lay it down so that you have that 1/4 inch here. For both sides. So the first thing we're going to do is put that together kind of like that and just hold on to it for a second. This one needs to have a thumb hole put into it. So that's the short one, the one that has the short end. On the tall end, we're going to put in a thumb hole. Okay? That creates our pocket on the front. And then for the back here, we're going to be putting our piece of paper here. So let's start with that. Let me get that out of the way. So this is going to be our short piece, and it's going to go right here. with our piece that's short end down, at the fold is where this is going to go. So let's go ahead and ink this piece. If you want to round corners, now would be a good time to do that. I'm not worried about inking the bottom here because that's not going to show. All right. So, adhesive. And we're going to put this part on first. Okay. This short piece is then going to be glued on here. So we're going to glue this on 3 sides. So on the inside, 3 sides. Up, down the score, and up again. Now, you do not need to put a finger pull in this because it's not that big. Okay? The open end, so the large flap goes here. That way you have your 1/4 of an inch here that flaps open, all right? Just like that. The other one is going to go over here. So in order to get this one correct, get a scrap and just put a scrap of paper up here. And I would recommend this one because it is the contrast. Okay? And again, it's going to go on the folded side. So I'm going to line that up. I'm going to put this in. Ink that because I can see that white and I don't want to. Oh, let me ink this so you guys can see this because this is where the pocket, there, that big finger pull. So there's the big finger pull, okay? So now I'm going to take this and let me show you. This is your short pocket. That's the other side of it. This is one of your fold-in pieces, and it is the piece that has that 1/4 of an inch. We're going to turn it over so that the 1/4 inch is down. Fold this up, and this is going to go right in here. So in order to get that where we want it, we're going to put it in place. Get it even, and then clip this in with a paper clip, just so you know where it goes, okay? And then we're going to glue this down. So I'm going to use my pencil just to remind me of where this is going. Here, here, and here. Nobody's going to see that. It's going to be on the inside, okay? But it tells me where this piece goes. So I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on here. Make sure that I have the inked edge. Put that down, and then I'm going to close this pocket. So again, I'm going to glue down 2 sides. And the bottom. I'm just making sure that everything lines up. Okay. Now I have my basic folio. All right. So now we're going to start. This is going to become a pocket. So we're going to put a finger pull in here. Now, it could be a pocket at the top, a pocket here. It doesn't matter, wherever you want to put it. If you want to make it shorter, by all means, you could trim it off. Let me show you. So this has a big pocket, but you're going to have two little pockets on it. So you don't want to trim it off too much, but it's already 1/4 of an inch down. So we're just going to put a finger nip in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a little ink on there so we can all see what I'm talking about. So again, we have this inside piece that needs to get covered. The paper you're putting here is this. So we want to put this in there. So we're going to grab another piece of that as a square. Okay. About 2 inches. And I'm just going to cut that to about 4.5, because it just needs to cover that piece there. Okay, so now I'm going to ink this. I'm going to put some glue on it. I'm going to line it up to the top of this. And I'm going to glue that down. All right, that's going to help me get it in where I need it to be, so that when I lay this down, it doesn't show. Okay? All righty. Now we can glue this pocket down. If you want, if you feel more comfortable, you can put your paper on first, so that you can notch that out. So let's ink this and put it on. Again, if you want to round corners on this just for looks, go ahead and do that before you do this inking. All right, now we're going to add this. And then I'm going to pop that out. And once I have that out, I'll go ahead and re-ink it. Ta-da! And then I'm going to glue this pocket down. I don't need to glue here, so we're just going to go right across the two sides, top and bottom here. And we'll glue that down. All right, so now we can put in our piece here and our piece over here. So we're going to go ink these and put them in. And then, shoop, shoop, we're going to put this piece down just like that. Again, we're going to take this piece out. And the only piece that we would then have left is this one right here. And this is the one that's a little short, so we're just going to give it a little extra room on the side, okay? And then we have forgotten to cut this piece. So we're going to cut this piece as well. It is, here's my ruler. It is 3 1/4 by 7 1/4. So we'll cut that real quick. We have plenty on this last piece of scrap. So 7 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay? Cut that piece, ink everything up, and when we come back, we'll finish putting them all where they belong. I'll be right back. All right. So now that we have our big basics covered, you know, let's get started with what we're going to be doing next. So we have these 2 pockets that can go on here, you know, this way, it doesn't matter, however you want to put them on. I think this one I'm going to have them go up. So I'm just going to put glue on 3 sides. I'm going to put this one over here. I'm just going to push in just a little bit on the top. Just gives me a little room in there. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So glue on 3 sides. Slightly off. A little bit of a push. Not a lot, just a little. Okay, so that's that part. Then we're going to do this little piece out here, which gets this one. Now, because I'm using cardstock, I could put another finger notch in here and just treat this as a secondary pocket, but I don't want to. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on here and glue this piece down. Glue in the middle, Else. Glue in the middle. Okay. Match that. Very good. There we go. All right, that one's done. These are done. So now we're going to put our back piece on here. And that was one of our larger pieces. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Now, there's not a lot of stress on this part, so if you want, you know, on these backgrounds, you could use tape. That is entirely up to you. I do not recommend glue stick. Why? Because glue stick has a shelf life. Anything you make with glue stick is going to fall apart in about 4 to 6 months. All right, now we're going to put in that belly band. So we're going to go ahead and put glue on the back of this. I just did a little decorative punch on the corners of this. And we have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So I'm just going to make sure that I get that in there nice. And then I'm going to glue this top and bottom. Now, this may be a little bit off, and that's okay. If it is, you just trim it once you get it all put together and then just re-ink. Okay? So, top and bottom. Give it a little hold there for a second. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the next part, where we're going to put another piece. Did I not ink the bottom of this? There we go. So again, you could use tape on these if you want to, and I'm going to use tape on this one just because I can. Okay. Press that down. Now this again is going to get pockets. Again, I can do them this way. I can do them this way, and I think I'm going to do these this way. Okay. So I'm going to do them opposite. So I have the solid color here. I'm going to do the solid color up here. And then I'm going to do the butterfly one at the bottom. Slightly higher in, a little bit of a push. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this page over. We're going to cover this page. There we go, that's the one. Again, tape just because it's easier for me. And if I don't use it, this video will run very long. Okay. And then our pocket here. And then our last one, which is going to go out here, and I'm just going to mark this because I forgot to cut it before I glued that down. Okay, so now I'll re-ink. This is going to get glued down right there. And again, I'll use tape. Because this is not a stress area. Okay, not exactly straight, but close enough. Alrighty. So that is our done folio. We have space here for a tag or, you know, a journaling card. There's a pocket here, 2 pockets here, 2 pockets here, a belly band, a nice big pocket over here, and a half pocket on this side. All right, so that's our front. That's our back. So you can decorate this any way that you want, but that's going to do it for me. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, hey, push the button already, would you? Let's see, what else? Check out my community tab as well as my Facebook group, both of which have a listing that tells you everything that's going on in my digital world. Go over to my Ko-Fi, pick up some free digitals, or swing by my Patreon. Even just the free, you know, trial lets me know that you are approving of what I'm doing here. So until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.